At first, I was hesitant about applying for the Leave for Change program because I didn't think I had the skills for the job postings. Even so, I attended a lunch and learn session given by a past volunteer, and I was inspired to apply for the program in general and not for a posting specifically. When I received the call that I had been selected for an interview, I was screaming in the phone and jumping around like a lottery winner, and that for me marked the beginning of a life-changing journey. I was accepted for a mandate with World University Service of Canada, WUSC. I would be working in the travel and hospitality sector as an advisor for Bac Thang Long College, or BTL, located in Hanoi, the capital of Vietnam. It was September when I was accepted, and my mandate would be in January, so I had a few months to prepare. But after speaking with some past volunteers and attending a pre-departure orientation, I decided not to prepare anything at all. Other volunteers had prepared but discarded all their preparations. Mandates were vague and they differed from their expectations. So I decided to go to Vietnam and approach my mandate with an open mind and no expectations. Instead of preparing for my mandate, I prepared instead to engage in another culture. I watched movies, I ate Vietnamese food, and read other travelers' blogs. I arrived in Hanoi and checked into my new home for 3 weeks. It was a cute little boutique hotel right in the heart of the old quarter of Hanoi. I was exhausted from my travels, but a welcome city tour organized by WUSC was planned, and I was anxious to get to know my new surroundings. The tour guide was a Vietnamese student in university who was completing her internship with WUSC. Her name was Bee, and we would be working together over the next 3 weeks. She would be my translator and my partner in the workshops that I would be giving at BTL. Later, she evolved into my personal shopper, my concierge, restaurant recommender, advisor of all things to do and don't in Vietnam. And really, it was the start of one of many great new friendships I would make over the next 3 weeks. The following week was about understanding my mandate and setting my work plan in place. I was accompanied by Hang, the country coordinator, and met with the school to assess their needs. And I was really satisfied that my work plan would be absolutely nothing like the mandate I applied for. So I really had made the right decision not to prepare anything at all. After comparing my skills with the needs of the teachers, it was decided that I would conduct workshops about turning lectures into learning activities so the teaching methods would be more student-centered. And I would also conduct a knowledge-sharing session about tour operator new hire trainings. So the rest of the first week I met with tour operators and travel agents, teachers, and I even observed a few classes. In doing that, I learned that the industry and teaching styles were quite different. There is a hierarchy presence in the workforce and schools in Vietnam. The teachers teach, the students listen, they take notes, and they're told when they can ask questions. The tour operators hire university graduates with travel industry experience already, not college graduates who are looking for experience as it is in Canada. My challenge was to make the workshops relevant to the teachers at BTL, and so I formed my plans. Over the second week, with help from B, I developed 3 workshops for about 10 to 20 participants each, which we conducted on the third week. I was confident that everything would go just as I had planned. I was sure that I had beaten the odds of throwing out what I had prepared by not preparing anything at all. I had approached my mandate with an open mind, and I didn't have any expectations. But in the end, guess what? I became another casualty of throwing out my plan, just as the volunteers preceding me had, and likely like the many more that would follow me. I found the teachers wanted to change, but they just weren't ready for it. They were not ready for action. They were only at the contemplation stage, thinking about changing. So rather than focus on forcing them to accept the changes I was proposing, I coached them into coming up with the changes that they could see themselves accepting in the near future. So even a last-minute plan, which I had, that was done on-site, it wasn't immune to being discarded. Being flexible and patient, those are skills that all volunteers universally should possess. At the end of each workshop, I handed out postcards intended to be sent back to the participants at a later date to remind them of the goals that they had set in my workshop. And I was really pleased and surprised to see that the goals they made for themselves were exactly what I tried most to resonate with them. So the end result was achieved, just not according to my plans at all. I was fortunate that my hotel was in the old quarter and I had a lot of free time to explore. Every evening I walked the winding streets and I lost myself in the sights, sounds, and aromas of Hanoi. I shopped at the night markets for silk and chopsticks. I ate delicious street food that I could point and identify in a photo lineup, but I have no idea what any of it was. I ate pho from little restaurants with tiny plastic stools huddled around short tables and ordered by pointing at other patrons' meals since I don't speak a lick of Vietnamese. I experienced the thrill of riding motorbike taxis just like the locals. I took cooking classes and learned to make nem, which is a traditional spring roll, and chili lemongrass chicken, my new favorite dish. I visited world-class museums, and the best was the Museum of Ethnology. What was unique about it was an outdoor component that displayed replica houses that were actually brought in from other villages, and they were rebuilt on the museum grounds by the people that actually lived in those villages, sometimes even the families who resided in them. It was really, really a unique feature. I learned a few phrases like Chak Min Na Moi, which stands for Happy New Year, and that came in handy since I was there right before all the hustle and bustle of the Lunar New Year. And I learned how to say Oi Zoi Oi, which is an expression similar to saying oh my God, and that came in handy when the motorbike taxis came a little too close to hitting you. The best part was making new friends, local and from around the world. Traveling isn't just about the places you visit and the experience you encounter, but it's about the people that you meet. And I had a few weekends and extra days at the end before returning home, and I was fortunate enough to be able to explore Hanoi with great company. I traveled to scenic Halong Bay, where I visited floating villages and explored the caves. I rode the night train into Sapa and trekked through rice fields into small, little isolated villages. I bike rode in Ningbing and took a boat ride underneath the caves. And along the way, I made lasting new friendships with wonderful new people. People always talk about that feel-good, warm, fuzzy thing that happens to them when they volunteer. And I'm not really sure if I experienced that. And I think it's because I won't be there to see the fruits of my labor. But I am sure that something changed within me because of volunteering. I can't pinpoint when or why or even how it happened. I just know something's different. I returned to Canada with a new perspective. The ambition inside of me has been reignited. Maybe it was the absence of the comforts of my home or my friends and family and meeting people who knew nothing about me and they had no preconceptions and expectations. But whatever it is, I'm refreshed and I owe a gratitude to volunteering in Vietnam.